There. Get the recording going. It's recording. Okay. So here's my funny to start the meeting with. At least I think it's funny. Saw on the news today that there was about to be a mass shooting in Leavenworth. A guy was on a bridge with a gun and shooting at passing cars. And he hit one person, but he did not kill that one person. Hi, Chris. Um, so Uh, while he was shooting, another soldier saw him shooting and decided he was going to end it. So he hit him with his car. And when the police arrived there, the shooter was injured but alive underneath the car, waiting for the cops to get there. I thought that was funny. If you're going to go out and get a shooter, get him with your car. That'll stop him. Somebody liked it. Okay, so starting this meeting. Good morning, guys. Dixie's in office here with me. So if I
Good
look over,
morning.
good morning. If I look over to my left, that's what I'm looking for. Um, and we are recording this, so be nice and don't cuss. The governor pulled her changes or her order and left it up to the counties. So I spent the afternoon and this morning looking at various things and trying to figure out what county has done what and what the Board of Realtors are going to do. And I got a list of them because if you're showing houses in someplace else, you got to know what to do. It's a little unusual here in Sedgwick County because we have some guidelines, and I'd like to respect those guidelines, but they're not orders, they're not being enforced. So it'd be real easy for us to think if you go show houses someplace else, you're on your own. As a reminder, Phase 2, no gatherings over 15. You should wear masks. You should be 6 feet apart. If you're an employer and you have somebody who's exhibiting symptoms, you're supposed to send them home. You're supposed to minimize travel. No bars, no fairs, no parades, no swimming pools until the exact Phase 2 start, which is somewhere around June 8th. So let's talk about Harvey County first. For those who forgot, Harvey is where Newton and Heston and Whitewater and Halstead is. They have ordered Phase 2 stays in just exactly the way the governor put out Ad Astra. The only thing that they changed were three things. You can have mass gatherings up to 30. Long-term care, you still can't have in-person visits until Phase 3. And now people over 65 are also included in the high-risk individuals. Harvey County is going to meet June 2nd to decide what to do next. So the next county I looked at, this is going to go pretty quickly, guys, just telling you. The next county I looked at was Cowley County. Cowley County includes Winfield, Udall, Ark City, and Rock. They ordered Phase 2. These are written orders. These are not you should do. They have ordered Phase 2 and 3 of the Ad Astra plan just as laid out with the dates and everything. Nothing to change. Reno County was supposed to meet last night to discuss what they were going to do, and they have not decided, or they've not publicized anyway. I scoured this morning and found nothing. They include Hutchinson and Haven. Now, we don't spend lots of time up there, so I'm not as concerned. But still, before you go off to Hutchinson to show houses, I'd like you guys to double check to see if there are any orders, or check with me and I'll see what I found out. The third one or the next one I want to talk about is Kingman County. And we don't spend a lot of time there again. That includes Kingman and Norwich. But they actually have the most detailed plan of any of them I've seen, the state, us, or anybody else. It pretty much follows Ad Astra, but it's not an order. I got called and double-checked this morning. It is absolutely guidance. So that means you ought to do what Ad Astra says, but you don't have to. So that brings us back to Wichita or Sedgwick and Butler County. And basically, they have said have fun, do whatever you want. We're not going to enforce anything, but we're going to suggest strongly you follow Ad Astra the way it was laid out with the dates it was laid out to. Butler has now started opening their motor vehicle locations and the courthouse because the governor has not said those are closed. However, the driver's license bureau is state run, and that's going to be up to the governor to decide to open again. I think Sedgwick County is going to do much the same. I've not seen it publicized. Sedgwick County has no order about stay in or bars or restaurants or anything else. They're leaving it up to the individuals, but they do suggest we follow the guidance. Wow, I feel like I've just given a really long speech.
Did you cover Sumner County?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you cover Sumner?
Sumner County. Sumner County, thank you for bringing that up. Sumner County includes Mulvane, Conway Springs, and Wellington. They have not announced their decisions. They are still meeting, and I say they're meeting today or so to announce them. But currently, they have not said whether they've done orders or whether they're doing guidance. Thank you, Dixie. Now I've talked long enough. Anybody want to say anything or ask questions or ask what I think we ought to be doing, or you just want to go on from here?
Of course. What do you think we should do?
Well, first and foremost, you need to follow your own conscience and what you believe and so on. I'm not going to go into politics of this thing because those get really deep. But I think your own conscience should be your number one guiding factor. The second thing you need to do is talk to your clients and see what makes them comfortable. Between those two, then we can start figuring out how to show houses or not show houses. If your clients have strong feelings and don't want any strangers in it, then offer to let them videotape it, or you can videotape it and show it. If your client is less restrictive, then I suggest that you put in your showing instructions how your clients would like their homes treated. If they want their homes treated with wiping down switches, wearing gloves, masks, then respect that, and respect that when the other realtors tell you that. If you run into somebody who says nothing's changed, just go on with it. As far as the home listing, then respect that again. You could still advise them what you think or how you think they ought to proceed. But I think the best we can do is wash our hands before we go into any home. Make sure we don't have a fever. Use paper towels or something, paper towels because they're disposable, to turn on and off light switches. And caution your clients, don't be, rubbing their faces all over the countertop to see if they're plastic or if they're granite. Be respectful of things and look at things, but you don't have to go around and touch and feel a lot of things. So that's my 2 bits. Anybody want to add or subtract from that?
Greg, I'll jump in here real quick. If
Sure.
You guys have, if you have clients that are concerned and worried about having people coming through their house, I would strongly encourage you to look at doing our 360 virtual tours. This isn't an ad or anything like that. So I'm just letting you know that we've seen some great successes with the 360. I've talked with a couple of the agents who've recently done those, and their sellers absolutely love it because it will help keep people from looking at the house who may have just thought, okay, if they hadn't seen the 360, they say, okay, well, let's go look at it. But once they do, they take the 360 tour, they're either able to eliminate it or add it to the list. We even had one realtor who received an offer on their listing without the people actually being there in person because of the 360. So I would encourage you guys, if you've got clients that are really concerned about that, it's well worth the money spent. Now, this is where it turns into an advertisement. My 16-year-old daughter is actually shooting those photos now for her summertime money, I guess you could say. I am still assisting her with it until she gets really comfortable with it. So she's good around people and understands and knows how it's supposed to take place. So give it some serious thought, and send me and Greg an email when you have a request for a listing that needs to be done.
And I'll go a step further on that. Marie Seguda, who should be back in town in a day or two because of her brother, had a home that had 21 offers in 2 days. I don't know if she did a 360 on that, but I know she had several offers sight unseen from the photos alone. I think at some point, depending price range in your listings, you should talk to your clients about how many people you want to let in, how many people you don't want to let in, and so on. She did not have, I think, but about 11 or 12 showings before they turned them off, and they still got 21 offers. So your clients need to be aware you don't have to let tons of people walk through the house. We can restrict that and work with them. And I fully agree with Lance. I like the 360. That's been very popular in the bigger cities. But even so, if you don't want to spend the cash, or your client, it's a lower end property, tell them to walk through with their phone and do a video recording or do a FaceTime showing. That's another alternative to having people in the house. So there are a variety of ways we can do things. So thank you for that, Lance. Other comments or questions? Let's see, show the conversation. Making money going home before and after show. Kim is right, and I have seen this in other towns. She's got a cousin in San Antonio who's being paid to go into a home before and after showings to disinfect them. So that's another business you and your daughter can get into, Lance. Disinfecting homes. Your microphone's off.
I don't know if she's a teenager, so I'm not sure she's going to be into the whole cleaning thing.
Sharon asked any additional for open houses. Some of the counties, 2 of the counties, let's see, say no gatherings over 15. And if you have 15 couples in your open house, I'd be surprised. Harvey changed to 30, I believe. Yeah, they increased it to 30. So at this time, I think open houses are okay, and they've been turned back on in the MLS. So if you put in an open house in the MLS, it's going out to Realtor.com and all those, Zillow and all those other places. So yes, you can do open houses, but again, I think you talk to your clients and discuss with them their comfort level, how you would clean something after, or what you suggest they clean after. I just think it's a good idea to make sure that we just don't say it's business as usual. Some people will say, no, I'm fine, go ahead and do it. Well, that's great. If they're fine, go for it. But if they say, nope, I'm not happy with it, okay, then do what their comfort level is. Would you request to have those coming into an open house and want them to wear a mask and gloves? Asked Suzanne. I think that is purely up to the client and you as the agent. If you feel you're in a high-risk position, then you could provide a mask and gloves to have them walk in, or mask and tell them to put their hands in their pockets. If they don't touch anything, cool. If your client says, I don't want anybody in here unless they got masks and gloves, then that's what you will put in the showing instructions and in your open house. More questions, comments?
I'm going to
Honestly,
throw in a comment.
Go ahead, Chris.
So you guys know that I'm on the other end of the spectrum as far as paranoid. So I'm just going to throw in my 2 cents. I watch way too much news, of course. But opening Memorial Day weekend was rough. People all over the place. Lake of the Ozarks was a tragedy. All kinds of things was going on, which just means people are traveling all over. Numbers are rising in Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas, Iowa, cases infected, stuff like that.
And we are 49th in testing.
And we don't test in our state at all, very much. So all I'm saying is just be careful. If you're going to do open houses, if you're going to show houses, understand for the next 2 weeks, there was just a weekend where we had massive amounts of interaction in across the country and people traveling around for their vacation spots. So just be very careful for the next 2 weeks. Masks and gloves are probably a better thing than they may have been pre-Memorial Day. So that's my public service.
And to add to that public service, Las Vegas is opening June 4th. I'm getting hit with emails about flights and hotels that I can go to in Vegas. So I know that everybody in the country is trying to get open and at the same time trying to be safe. I think we just have to be careful on both sides of that. By the way, I like your t-shirt, Chris.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna throw this in. I think you as us realtors need to take into consideration what our own personal care should be in dealing with the pandemic, but it really is also more so up to your clients as to what they're comfortable with. If you've got a client that absolutely says no open houses, or I don't want showings, if I want showings, I want them to be just the decision maker, whatnot, you need to try to work with them in getting that done. Don't force your own beliefs, non-beliefs, whatever it is on your clients. Let them decide what they want to do. Like Greg was talking about earlier, if there's showing instructions in there, please put booties on, wear gloves, wipe things down. You need to do that and respect what others think or how they feel about the having people come through. So I think it's more so up to the individuals, the sellers, and help them try to protect themselves, especially if they're vulnerable to the pandemic. Help them out with, here's some steps that we can take to help protect you.
Well, I like what Lance said there, and then I'm going to add what Sherry put in a note. And part of that is, no matter what your client believes, as realtors, we also have the duty to tell them what they should know in showing a home. And if your client believes that it's all a bunch of hooey, say great, but still as a precaution, we're going to wipe down things and we're going to ask people to do this, and I'm going to take care of you because my job as a realtor is to protect you. So we've got I want to be careful on both sides of that. Sherry Proctor says she has hand sanitizer at the door and asks everyone coming into an open house to use it, and or disinfecting wipes on their hands to keep pre-sanitized model homes safe. And she limits to 10 people at a time. I'll tell you, I'm a little freer and I go to restaurants because I still think I'm Superman. The restaurant I go to, Texas Roadhouse, has limited how many people can go in. You're at every other table. They sanitize everything before someone sits down, including the menus and all that. They put no condiments on until you're sitting there. They have hand sanitizer outside the door, and they make you wait in your car. Someone greets you outside in the parking lot, and they text you when it's your time to come in. So they're working that whole very hard. And I'm not saying that as go out to eat, but I'm saying some of what Sherry says makes sense. If you do an open house, let's limit the number of people in. Let's have this hand sanitizer there for them, and let's do the things to protect our clients, regardless of if they feel that this is hooey. So, last little bit.
Real quick, Greg. With that, if you're going to do an open house and you have a family come in or a group come in, one of the frustrating things that we run into as realtors when we're doing open houses, a lot of times those groups will split up. They'll go into different parts. I would definitely tell them that, as they enter, that you would like to keep them all together as a group. That would be, and use the COVID as the reason if you want to, but just let them know that we need to stick together as a group as we go through the house to take a look at things. That way you have better control over what's touched, what's not touched, what's being rummaged through, and all that stuff.
I think that's an excellent suggestion. Now I'm going to change directions ever so slightly, unless somebody else has another comment. I will say this. It's nice to see Chris and Brenda again. Hi, guys. And I also want to look at Cindy's lap right now. She's been bringing her puppy in and keeping her in her office. And oh my, that's a good, loving, warm, happy puppy. I've been petting the dickens out of that guy. I want to share my screen just for a moment. Can you see that email? Somebody say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You guys should be getting these shortly before closing. And I just wanted to point out a few things to help you get ready for closing. When we go through and look at documents, we decide if they're accepted, if they need to be looked at, if they're finished, and so on. And then this email is generated with this particular on Twin Lakes has no rejected documents. That's great. There's 4 in progress. Now, the ones in progress are right down here, so you can see what they are. An amendment, I don't have one. The settlement statement I'm going to turn in, and the check will be coming. I have 2 documents I've turned in that are waiting for staff admins to review it, and I have 17 that are completed. So my point to this is, I know it's hard when you're getting to closing to think, what do I need? What do I don't need? What needs fixed? And we're trying to get a little more proactive in saying, this are the things that are done or need to be done. And if you click on this button right down here, it takes you inside the program where you can upload documents or whatnot if you need to. So I just wanted to demonstrate that email real quick. You can't click on it here, but you can click on it here. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Good, thank you. Excuse me. Oh, Chris's thumbs up. So anybody else want to say anything? Got any comments? Do we want to keep these bi-weekly meetings going, or are you getting tired of them?
I think they're easier than us getting together physically because, just the convenience.
I like them.
I do too.
Well, thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Sherry. I try to keep them very short because I think sometimes, it's hard to get everybody together, and then we get everybody together and it's so hard, we keep you there for 3 hours and you're scratching your head at the end of it going, what's going on? So I think these nice short 30-minute ones work a little better. But I got to tell you, my creative brain is running out of creative ideas. So if you have things you say, man, if we could look at blank, anytime you get a suggestion, throw it at me. I'll find an expert or make you the expert and go out and do something. But I agree. I like seeing people. I like talking to you, and I like short. So that's my 2 bits. Anything else before I turn off the recording? Okay.
Have a good one.